Hello, this is Jamie, and welcome to another Supplierty News Small Business Review. As always, if you like the content that we provide, make sure you subscribe to the video, leave a like, comment, and also share with other people who may be interested in this information. For today's topic, we're going to be discussing Biden's new $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan that was released on Tuesday, and that he went over today in a public, conversation or statement or talking point, speech, whatever you want to call it. All right, so there is a lot of information here, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. Just food for thought. I will also be trying to focus on small businesses and how this can affect you. Hint, hint, it's a really good thing. And as I was reading through it, I've seen a lot of comments, a lot of negative comments when it comes to this infrastructure plan, both on both sides, in case you're curious. So while I don't typically get into the political side of different pieces like this, I do kind of want to point out the criticism on both sides, which is the normal criticism that you always hear with talking points like this, which is okay, whatever. But without going into depth, so I'll talk about those talking points as they come up, and then but the main focus here would be how does this affect small businesses, and if this is a positive or negative thing. So I'm going to start off with the Washington Post. They talk about the 5 key takeaways from Biden's $2 trillion infrastructure plan. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. So kind of going to skip over the key piece here. I'm going to go kind of line by line. Well, not line by line, but kind of hit some of the key points in the infrastructure plan. But I think this 5 key takeaways is a really good overview of what we're going to get into. So number 1, as you can see, there's widespread agreement. This is long overdue. Yes, this is 100% long overdue. Every president since my lifetime has always said we need an infrastructure plan. From Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump, they've all pushed it. They've all said that, hey, this is something that we're going to do, and none of them ended up doing it. So it appears that Biden's going to kind of take this on and see what he can do to fix the infrastructure. I'm pretty sure if you've driven on any federal road, we need assistance. As you can see here, the American Society of Civil Engineers gives the U.S. a C- grade, noting that nearly 4 out of every 10 bridges are more than half a century old, and that a water main ruptures every 2 minutes. I'm chuckling, not that it's funny, but it's just bad, and this is something that we need to fix as soon as possible. As you can see, number 2, the plan includes more than roads and bridges, a controversial move, and that is really key here. There's actually, I believe it says it here. Okay, if it doesn't say in this piece, while it's framed as an infrastructure plan, there's actually more money going to other issues or challenges outside of infrastructure, which is amazing. So obviously that's going to be a controversial move. So it appears the Biden administration is trying to use the infrastructure to push forth other agendas that they have, which I'm not sure how that's going to work. Now, when we're talking about as it says, traditional infrastructure, he's looking for about $620 billion for roads, ports, bridges, including $100 billion to bridge high-speed internet to all Americans. There's another $111 billion to replace antiquated lead pipes and make drinking water safer. Good thing. And $100 billion for retraining, so workers can get high-skilled jobs. I'm just going to say this for the retraining. We'll see about that. Just in case you're curious about retraining programs, the government is notoriously not that good at those type of things. But this is under any administration. The Obama administration tried it, did not go well. The Trump administration tried it, did not go well. So we'll see. But I don't know. This is more money than I've normally seen with these types of pieces. So we'll see. Now, what does this mean for small businesses? This is great for small businesses. When you're dealing with the government, they always have mandates that you have to spend a certain amount of dollars with small businesses. So if you have a government certification, either as a hub zone, 8A, women-owned small business, service disabled, veteran small business, veteran-owned small business, like if you have any type of certification, you are right in line for this. What I will say is that if you're a small business looking to do business with the federal government, your city or state government, who's probably going to be getting money off of this as well, start networking now. Start trying to, call the government, figure out, where this is going, most likely the Department of Transportation, and get those certifications that you need right now. I'm going to be honest, typically when you're dealing with a lot of the money, it's going towards construction type of company. So if you're that construction manufacturing, I believe that this is going to be a very big coup for you. That's going to be something that I'm going to be completely honest, it's going to be impossible to get if you're just starting this business today. Unless you're have some type of strategic partnership with someone, some type of partnership that's probably going to be impossible. What you're going to need is, in work like this, probably a couple of years of experience, 3 to 5 years of experience minimum, in this space, where you've done jobs before. So as you're moving forward, unless you just know somebody, but so that will probably qualify you. You've got 3 to 5 years of experience. You've done some type of work with the government or some other private company, and you're looking to do business with the government for this. I believe there's going to be a lot of money. Just a glance here, we got 620 billion. You can get let's say 20 to 30% maybe mandated to small businesses. So that's about 18 to 24 billion. That may 180 to 240 billion that may be allocated just to small businesses. So there may be a lot of opportunity here for you to win some jobs. So that's when it comes to the infrastructure. Even when you look outside of that, and as you can see here, for example, the proposal calls for 300 billion for housing for the elderly and disabled, 200 billion to upgrade public housing, pieces like this, which can also be kind of seen as infrastructure as well to a certain extent. Again, just more money for small businesses to really get in and hone their skills and really create jobs, create wealth for themselves. There's a ton of opportunity here. Again, start networking now. Start networking today. As I find out more information, I'm going to try to figure out where this money is going specifically so I can inform you guys. Again, Department of Transportation is probably your key part within your government that you need to kind of reach out to. But again, great opportunities. And we'll get more into kind of where the rest of the money is going as well outside of infrastructure. Number 3, how is Biden going to pay for this? Biden wants to raise taxes on companies. Now, this is a little tricky, right? And here's why. Trump enacted the largest corporate tax cut in U.S. history a couple of years ago, slashing the business tax from 35% to 21%. Biden wants to increase it to 28%. So while, yes, he is raising the corporate tax, he's not raising it back to what it once was. So it's still a cut. Less than what it was. And I guess now's a good time to kind of talk about some of the criticisms, right? So the big criticism that I've seen from the right or conservatives is that, hey, now that he's increasing the corporate taxes, and he also has a couple of additional taxes, as you can see here, imposing a 15% minimum tax on income. I forgot what it's called, basically off your books. So you have to pay that 15% no matter what. It may even be you have to pay that 50% even if you lose if you have a negative profit for companies, which that's going to be interesting how they're going to push that one. Not sure how that's going to get through. But the main piece that I've seen when it comes to this is, as you can see, classic economic theory says that a tax increase will have some negative effects, such as less investment or hiring, as well as an increase. It doesn't say it here, but as well as increase to consumers, right? So because they have to pay larger taxes, they're just going to raise the prices on products and services. So that's a big negative that I've seen from conservatives. While I understand the logic behind that, my biggest question whenever I hear that is, if that's the case, why doesn't the inverse ever happen? The inverse being when taxes went from 35% to 21%, I don't recall anything that I was purchasing decreasing, right? I go to the grocery store, that was still the same price, car maintenance, gas, different restaurants, wherever. I still remember those prices being the exact same, even when the taxes were cut almost in half. So if prices don't drop, And you can make the argument that prices don't drop when that happens. In addition, we saw, and again, we can talk about before the pandemic. Yes, more people were being hired. That is true. So I'll leave it at there because, obviously when the pandemic, obviously hiring kind of dropped. Nobody knew about revenue, but there was an increase in hiring when those taxes were cut. I will agree with that. So I can see my way to less hiring and less investment. But to say that prices will increase, I mean, the prices didn't decrease when the taxes were cut. So I don't understand how you would think that. I can see less hiring, but I don't see consumers paying that. Just, I mean, maybe that's one way. But if your taxes are at 30, sorry to go on a rant here, but if your taxes are at 35% and you're charging people $10, you're making a profit, then it goes down to 21% in terms of taxes, and you're charging people $10 and you're making a profit. If it goes up to 28%, if you were making money off of it when you had to pay 35% at $10, why would you increase it more? But I'm sorry, again, going on a tangent here, but yeah, that's just kind of. Let's move on. I've spent too much time on that. But anyway, number 4, Biden is using fuzzy math to say the plan is paid for. This is government 101. I mean, I can show you. I'm not going to repeat any sayings, but again, Bush, Obama, Trump, they all had sayings in terms of how they were going to pay for stuff that it didn't really turn out. So this is just normal political babble, if you ask me. As you can see, the proposal calls for about $2.3 trillion in spending over 8 years, yet it would take 15 years for the proposed tax increases to generate that amount of money. That's not how budgeting normally works. When it comes to politics, nothing is how budgeting normally works. So another welcome to America, right? All right. And then point 5. This is likely going to bring good paying jobs. And again, I kind of pushed that when we were talking about small businesses. When you're dealing with the government pays. Okay, as long as you can qualify for that opportunity and you can get that contract, the government will pay you. If the government isn't paying you, then we have bigger problems as a nation. So yes, that will allow you to. And in addition to that, they oftentimes mandate that you have to hire from a certain area and pay them a certain amount, which is phenomenal because that means they're going to pay you that. So this can be very beneficial in terms of where we could be heading in terms of job growth over the next 10 to 15 years, which is something that's really good and something that's absolutely necessary, especially coming out of the pandemic. Now, if we switch on over to the next one, which is CNN Politics. Yes, I know it's CNN, but for this article, they actually do a pretty good job of kind of running through just the entire overview of what we're getting from this plan. So, it's breaking down basically to what the Washington Post says. Then it talks about $621 billion in transportation, which we covered. But this actually gets into the additional pieces that he's going to be investing in. So home care services and workforce. As you can see, we talked about the $400 billion in the home care and aging, disabled, and whatnot. However, Biden said he would also devote $450 billion to allow more older Americans and their families to receive. Okay, so we kind of already talked about that. For the workforce, it doesn't say it here. He is, so I read somewhere that he's also going to be putting up $100 billion, I believe, in workforce development. Oh, okay, so we actually talked about that because I mentioned how with $100 billion, retraining, government isn't very good at that usually. $300 billion in manufacturing, again, construction, manufacturing. If you're in these type of hard skilled services, I mean, coming up, you have tons and tons of opportunities. So kudos to you. If you have a business, if you've been running for, 3 to 5 years, if you were able to survive the pandemic, you have a lot of opportunities coming to you. Housing, real estate here, just more opportunities for these hard skill type of jobs. So for this one, the plan would invest $213 billion towards building, renovating, and retrofitting more than 2 million homes and housing outfits. I mean, we're just so much opportunity that's going to be available for small businesses. So I talked about Department of Transportation. That was for the transportation piece. Any type of real estate, manufacturing. There will be other parts of your state government that you can definitely go to. I would recommend your state or city or federal government. Start off with your city. Typically, it's easier to network and connect with people. They're always looking for small business to connect with. It makes them look good, especially if you're in their hub zones, certain zones that they're looking for. I mean, just figure out where a federal building is or a federal bridge, and just call up the state or city that's over that and say, hey, I'm business, I'm ready to get started. All right. Next up, 111 in water, which we talked about. 100 billion in schools. Again, we talked about this as well. Upgrading existing buildings and infrastructure. As you can see, there's also so I don't know exactly how this is going to be broken down, but ventilation systems, updated technology lab, and improved school kitchens that can prepare more nutritious meals. So even if you're doing things like catering, maybe even consulting, advising people on how to exactly build this, there will be opportunities for you. Again, the main one will be construction, manufacturing, and those types. However, if you are an expert at these, educational pieces, you can also there will also be opportunities here. Digital infrastructure, technology. Well, more so of a. We talking about technology here. Where let's see if it says it. So broadband, high speed broadband. So more so on that type of high speed broadband infrastructure. Workforce development. The 100 billion. Helping dislocated workers, assisting underserved groups, and getting students on career paths. This is the only one that I'm a little. I'm not. I guess concern would be one way for me to say this, just because. The training aspect, that's typically where government kind of hires people who are experts to train individuals, but they don't really, in my opinion, do a good job of tracking how successful that is, right? So they'll get a class of 50, 100 people, they'll train them on coding, and they'll say, all right, you've been trained, good luck. Or they may connect you with businesses so that you can win jobs there, but just historically the government just has not been good with that. So hopefully this is a change, and hopefully with this one we can improve these types of, as you can see, apprenticeships, career path programs to assist people in moving forward with their lives. And then we talked about the Veterans Hospital as well. So just key pieces, we already talked about how he's going to pay for this. It's going to be a little murky in terms of how he's going to pay for this. This is where it always gets fuzzy with all politicians, especially presidents. But we talked about that as well. Fox Business. So this isn't anything new, but again, I was going to talk about kind of the right conservative critical points of this, which I already did, which is, hey, you're increasing taxes. That means there's going to be an increase in consumer products, but our prices with consumer products, which again, we won't go down that rant. All right. Next up, the NPR. Biden unveils what he calls a once in a generation infrastructure proposal. Well, here's where we get to the criticism from the left, right? So as you can see, 2.3 trillion. In addition, obviously how we're paying for it. Conservatives are like, hey, there's a lot of money. Well, actually, I haven't really heard that. They've just been arguing how we're going to pay for it has been the issue. Now, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, we can talk about. Okay, so there's. I apologize. I wanted to talk about this as well. So there's two arguments on the right. First piece is, consumers have to pay more corporate tax due to corporate taxes, and the other piece is the criticism on the fact that this is more than just an infrastructure bill. There is money that it appears will be going outside of that. So where does it say? He's also trying to make this kind of with climate and here it goes. The proposal has a heavy focus on climate change and environmental, including transitioning the auto sector from gasoline-based vehicles to electric, right? The creation of a climate conservation corps and incentivizing private investments in wind and solar power. And the criticism around that is that this isn't just infrastructure. This is a mini Green New Deal, which some conservatives are criticizing that. I am a fan of alternative of power. I do think that over the next I'm not saying tomorrow, but over the next 10, 20, 30 years, that it's probably something that we need to move forward. Jobs are being created much more quicker than in other energy sources. If we can get renewable energy, obviously that's going to be better for the planet, as well as just ourselves, right? And our ability to use energy for other things. So I'm a supporter of it, and at some point we do have to start it. But I can understand the criticism of, we have an infrastructure problem that's 50 years old that we need to solve. Mixing the two and trying to get everything passed may cause some issues. But as we move over to the left and think about what the criticism is to the left, let's keep scrolling down. AOC, as you can see, it's disappointing, and the disappointment is that the size of
the proposal is just not enough. She says here that as much as 10 trillion is not even that progressive. She thinks that there's that 10 trillion measure put forward would just be the floor, right? So that would be the starting point, would be a $10 trillion proposal, which again, we saw how Biden is trying to pay for a $2.3 trillion investment. So if you wanted something that's almost five times that much, I mean, just imagine the math behind trying to pay for that. So again, to the left, to the far left, it's not enough, and to the far right, you're doing too much. There's too much going on. So this is politics. This is America. This is government, and unfortunately, this is why we consistently have a tough time of getting things done. When it comes to small businesses, because again, this is my focus. This needs to happen. There's going to be a ton of opportunity, especially coming out of the pandemic. I think that this is ripe for success if done correctly, and if these dollars are, appropriately given to businesses that can meet these requirements and can move this forward. I do think that this can be the start of something great. Again, I'm not going to get too political. I'm not going to go too in depth in terms of how this money is divvied out. You do know I always ask the question, where's the money going? How are we ranking success off of this? I typically do, but for this, as a day one, I mean, this was just released Tuesday. So as a day one, hey, this is what we're trying to do. I can see where they're trying to go, and when it comes to, again, my focus here is small businesses. You may have another focus. As you're listening to this video, my focus is on small businesses. Typically about 20 to 30% go to small businesses and things like this. I see this as a win, because you also know that they're going to be, you just know once they divvy up that money to different states, these states are going to be like focusing on key areas to give this money to businesses so that they can, that's a win-win for them as well. So this is just a really, really good opportunity for small businesses to really, we're going to see a lot of businesses kind of get a lot of support on this, probably partner with a lot of other companies. We're looking at job growth. We're looking at, small businesses becoming medium-sized businesses off of this. Like, we are looking at a lot of opportunity here, and we're going to be fixing the roads that are 50, 60, 70 years old. I can see this, jobs are going to be created. So many jobs, so many, people can now, as you saw, better paying jobs will come up. Again, I understand the criticism of, hiring. I believe hiring may, when it comes to the pandemic, the majority of the jobs that were lost were lower paying jobs. So they're already unemployed. Like, increasing, I just don't see it. Like, then even more people are being laid off, to the extent that that jobs aren't being created, enough jobs aren't being created in this sector to kind of counterbalance that. I just don't see it. I think that there's going to be enough jobs created off of this infrastructure plan, because once think about it, now you got people working in different areas, and I've seen, I'm in a city where there's a lot of construction going on. So I see the construction workers after, come lunchtime, they get off. Then what do? They go to the local restaurants that are around the area, right? Just so much economic impact that can happen from this is just amazing. And I don't think people are really looking at it. Like, they're just simply looking at, this large corporation, may have to, lay off, such and such people. But what you're not looking at is just that economic impact where, such and such works here, or such is the owner of this construction business. Now he's able to hire an additional 20 people. Those 20 people have to work in this area. Now those 20 people have to go to lunch every day. Now they're going to these restaurants. These restaurants are now making more money now because of, maybe there's a couple of construction spots that are happening, that has, 200-300 people. Now they're getting consistent people coming into their store. Now they're, hiring even more people to handle those people. And now their people that they're hiring can go out and do things. Now they probably have healthcare. Like, it's just so much in terms of how you can impact that people just aren't thinking about, that I think will counter set anything else that may be happening. So I know I've talked for a lot here. I'm really excited about this for small businesses. I think that a lot of positive can happen here around the country. If you've stayed with me this long, I really appreciate it. Let me know let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment. Like, subscribe, or like the video, and for the algorithm, and also subscribe if you like what we have. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here because I think I've talked too long. But appreciate your time once again. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.